Drew, Siri, we gotta escape.
What?
The house is on fire.
Oh, what?
What the heck happened?
No time to explain. We gotta go. Look, man, I told you we had to come here eventually. So yeah, apparently this is what you like to call Not My House Avenue. Yeah, because it's not my house.
Oh man, why does it smell so bad?
I have literally no idea. Well, okay, me and Andre will be at the bank trying to get a loan for all the damage he's... because he doesn't know how to cook a pizza.
I thought you were supposed to put the heat on max.
No!
Nintendo Switch Online, man. I've made 2 previous videos on this thing, both talking about how much in quality it's a far cry from Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus. But today, we're specifically talking about how the expansion pack is done in the last year. In my previous Nintendo Switch Online video, I really only looked at the service as it was just being rolled out. February 2022 was only 4 months into the service, and they were already just starting to ramp up. Now, was it worth $50 a year at the time? Very small library of N64 games, Genesis, even though there's a collection for cheaper, with basically all the same games, and Happy on Paradise, you know, the thing that was released separately at the same time. Yeah, $50 is kind of pushing it. But it has been quite a bit since it first launched, so how has it fared since? Well, that's what we're discussing today, where we're currently at with the expansion pack. So first, let's go over the updates to the retro library. So the first one that most matters is the N64 library. So the first games added were Paper Mario and Banjo-Kazooie in December and January, respectively. Paper Mario is a very beloved Mario RPG on the N64. First developed as a sequel to the Super Mario RPG on Super Nintendo, but later shifted. And this isn't as loved as its sequel, but clearly a close second in many fans' eyes, especially since this is before the series went to making everything about the paper aspect, and the first two just kind of making a cool art style. And Banjo-Kazooie, yeah, I wouldn't say I expected this, especially because of the Microsoft buyout some time ago. Since Nintendo and Microsoft are on way more good terms than they were 21 years ago, when the buyout actually happened, I guess it makes sense. But I felt like Microsoft might try to gatekeep it on their system till the end of time. But no, they give it to Switch owners, which is pretty cool. Especially because it fits in so well here, and on Xbox, it kind of stood out like a sore thumb there. And yeah, everybody watching this probably already knows it's a really good 3D platformer starring Bear and Bird across different world settings, say Banjo's sister Tootie, and yeah, it's good. Very good. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask in February. The sequel to the already acclaimed predecessor, with this time around being a little bit more darker in its theming, and having to do things in time before the moon crashes down. It's a very weird and dark game, but it's still very good. It is Zelda after all. And plus, there wasn't really any talk about graphical issues, because in the original launch, there were some graphical issues with some games, but they're fine here. F-Zero X in March. Now, this game is perfection in high-speed racing. I never really got the F-Zero hype before, because my dumb self only played the SNES one, and so this is fine, but I don't know if I'm going to play this, and I just brushed off the whole series. Well, shame on that person. I was a different man 6 minutes ago. And then I played it the first time on the N64 Online, and I said this was just okay. But then I came back a few months later, and man, I was blown away at how fun this game really was. The high-speed racing basically making this game really hard, especially compared to Mario Kart. There's 30 CPUs, meaning it's harder to get to the lead. It's like an elimination type deal. Like you might die and get disqualified or make it to the end and do somewhat okay. It's like these tracks can twist and turn however they want. And there's extra modes and stuff to do. It's a great racing game. Screw me for thinking this game was just okay. I was a different man 2 seconds ago. Then we have Mario Golf in April. I'm not really going to go in depth with this one. It's a fun Mario sports game, especially fun for a golf game with a trademark Mario charm. But that's kind of all. It's golf with Mario characters. Moving on. Then we have Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards in May. It's a Kirby game. I'm not the biggest Kirby fan, although I did like Kirby in the Forgotten Land, so I might be becoming a bigger fan. And this game is kind of fun. It's just not really my thing. Pokemon Snap in June. I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan, but this game is sheer brilliance. Like, it's a really kind of cool game about taking pictures of Pokemon. It doesn't have the action of a normal Pokemon game, but it has a really chill vibe to it. I actually kind of love it. Now, after this, Nintendo just kind of randomly announced games for a bit there, because they had run out of games they announced at the last year's Direct. Pokemon Puzzle League in July. 2 Pokemon games in a row? Jeez. Pokemon fans are getting a big bang for their buck. Now, maybe worse, because this is kind of a puzzle game with Pokemon theming. You know, I kind of regret what I said. I don't play this game, but it is in a series called Puzzle League, and a lot of people seem to like the series, but I only play Tetris and sometimes Puyo Puyo. Puzzle League has never really been on my radar. And never will be, because in August, we got Wave Race 64, which is another perfect racing game, like, seriously. Well, Wave Race 64 is a jet ski racing game, and it's pretty impressive for the N64. Like, this water, like, sure it does look kind of crap today, but for the 90s, it's pretty good. And it just feels great to control, and every course has its own fun. And every course is pretty fun, except a couple, but that's kind of it. It's mostly a really fun game. Now, in September, a whole bunch of games for the service were revealed at the Nintendo Direct. I already went over this Direct in full, but here's a short recap. Pilot Wing 64, Excite Bike and 1080 Snowboarding as sports games, the first 3 Mario parties, both Pokemon Stadiums, and the big one, GoldenEye 007. And out of all that, it's safe to say that Nintendo did it. They made the service from a bottom-of-the-barrel service to a half-decent one. But it's still only half-decent. But wait, there's a couple more to actually talk about in this video. Pilot Wing 64 next. It's not a bad game, just didn't capture me, and neither did the SNES one really. I'll try it again eventually, because some of the games on the N64 took some time to grow for me. Mario Party 1 and 2. And these 2 games were out at the same time because of how similar they are. Like, Mario Party 2 reuses a lot of mini-games because the palm damage controversy that I was talking about, like, a couple episodes back. And yeah, Mario Party 1 can be a lot more bullcrap, and Mario Party 2 has a little less content than 1, but they're pretty good party games. Now, in January, we got GoldenEye. It's still the shooter that we all know and love from the 64, but the control schemes are weird here. Like, they're inverted, because you look with the left stick and move the right, but you can swap the control schemes in the Switch controller settings, and bam, there you go. It ain't perfect, and it's kind of annoying to keep changing the control schemes in the Switch settings, but it still is decent nonetheless. So yeah, that's all the N64 added up to now. And yeah, we still have more on the horizon, and this is probably the best Nintendo 64 lineup on the Nintendo console since the Wii. Like, yeah, both Wii and Wii U had most of the N64 games you want. This one has that in games like Banjo and GoldenEye and Mario Party. Like this is actually just kind of perfect, but I wouldn't blame them if they like to download them like on the Virtual Console. Now, moving on to the Genesis. And this definitely takes a different approach from the SNES and NES strategy of adding games. Like, sure, they both do them sporadically, but this one is more quality over quantity. So no more, hey punk, are you tough enough, and Spanky's requests. I can't tell if that's a con or a pro. First update was in December 2021, with firstly, Altered Beast, which is a cool little fighter. I guess I don't know much about it, but from what I played, it's decent enough. Not my thing, but it's decent. Toe Jam and Earl, yeah, this one is not really for me. I haven't really played it much, but Final Force 2 isn't bad. Pretty good overhead shooter. Dynamite had a pretty good 2D platformer. Sort of Vermilion, it's sort of Vermilion. So yeah, you see how much more quality focus this is? Like, a lot of these games are cult classics. And in March, we get another list of cult classics. Alien Soldier, superb 2D shooter. Light Crusader, pretty impressive looking for the Genesis. Super Fantasy Zone, looks okay. I don't really have much to say about this, but I'm pretty sure someone likes it. So yeah, that's a pretty good second wave. Now really soon after the last update in April, we got BAM! Space Harrier 2. Definitely a classic from the Sega Genesis. BAM! Sonic Spinball. Although it makes me feel like I'm on acid while playing. Like, looking at this footage, it still feels like I'm downing a jug of acid. It's still a good addition. Shining Force 2. Cool, but come on, we got Space Harrier and Sonic Pinball. Spinball. Pinball. Shut up. June on Genesis hits hard. BAM! Comic Zone. Really big Genesis title. Mega Man The Wily Wars. It has never been re-released. Ever. It's a full remake of the first 3 Mega Mans, and it's actually pretty good. And it's the first 3 too. And yeah, a lot of value just went up. Then the next update came in September with first Elisa Dragoon, am I saying that right? Beyond Oasis is an RPG that people like, and the story. And the big one, Earthbound Jim, the first one. And the second one's already on the SNES Online app, so the duology has been completed. So yeah, that's the Genesis lineup. It's really good. Not always most popular names, but that's fine, because the Genesis is full of underrated games. Yeah, pretty good. Now SNES and NES. They're not dead, folks, but the lineup makes it feel like it is. So we got what? Huh? And pinball. Well, it isn't Spanky's World, so I guess that's a step up? No, July, we got Huh? And Kirby Avalanche, which is another cool version of Puzzle League, which is probably the coolest thing added here in a while. And what else?
Come on, at least give us something halfway decent, like Home Improvement.
So yeah, that was really good for N64, really cool for Genesis, and really meh for SNES and NES. Nothing ever changes. Now, the most recent additions to the service, Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. Now, this is amazing. It took them a long time to do, but cool it even happened after all this time. They both launched with small, yet decently quality lineups, consisting of Tetris. I hard approve this one. You know what it is. I don't even have to explain it. Mario Land 2, it's a Mario 2D platformer. A lengthy one at that. Game Launch Gallery, a compilation of Game & Watch minigames, which are all pretty solid distractions. Kirby's Dream Land, the first Kirby game. Alone in the Dark is some murder mystery type game. Don't know much about it, so I'm just gonna move on. Gargoyle's Quest, it exists. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, and the DX version at that. Still a pretty good Zelda game. Metroid 2, Return of Samus, good. Metroid, like it. Wario Land 3, pretty underrated series in general. It stars Wario. What more could you possibly want besides that? Now for GBA, Mario Kart Super Circuit. Better than Super Mario Kart? That's it. I kind of like it. Not better than the other entries besides Super, but I think it's still kind of fun. The first WarioWare still has a certain charm. I can't really describe with the micro games and everything else. It's very good. Kuro Current, I probably butchered that title. May turn you off probably because of its name, but trust me, it's very fun. It's where you're in some kind of tube and you have to navigate through like a maze and try not to die because your tube is spinning and you might die if you hit the wall too many times. I probably made it sound hecka confusing, but trust me, it's fun. So Mario Advance 3, Super Mario Bros. 3 is an enhanced version of Mario 3 with extra levels added, which is really cool. Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, pretty cool and unique Zelda experience. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. Really nice Mario RPG with the boys Mario and Luigi. So yeah, good stuff on the Game Boy side right now, and from here, it's just gonna get better. But oddly, no signs of Pokemon yet, because it's very critical to the Game Boy. But I doubt they'll just forget about it. It's way too big just to leave out like that. So, finally, let's get to the DLC stuff that's been added. First off, Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion. It's really the only instance of old DLC coming into the expansion pack. I mean, it makes sense, because when this released, Splatoon 3 was on the horizon at this time, and giving people a chance to play 2's DLC before 3 is a good move, but it's sort of odd that's the only DLC added. Like, why not, for instance, Breath of the Wild DLC, Smash Bros. Fighter Pass? Heck, even Captain Toad for crying out loud. But it's still cool, to be honest, totally. Second, the big one, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. Yeah, the big DLC for the best-selling game on the Switch. Not Mario Kart 9, but more Mario Kart content in general. It's just great with all tracks and tour tracks, and sometimes new ones all together coming to 8 Deluxe, which is great. And I'm not gonna go in depth today because I already talked about the first 3 waves of DLC left. But yeah, adding this just adds so much more value to the expansion pack. So yeah, is the expansion pack worth it? I'd say much more than before. And I feel as though it continues to get better and better over time. But if you're not into retro games and don't really care about DLC, then no, it's not for you.
Okay, so did you get the loan? Yeah, we're good, but it will take a few days. I've had to stay out here for a week straight before. I think I'll manage. Yeah, we just gotta remind ourselves not to let Andre cook again. I'll add that to the list of things that we shouldn't let Andre do. Man, they thought that Andre burned the house down. How foolish they are, huh? Now that I found Explorer Jim Bob and took his hat, I can finally use it to revive Master. Now let's see if we can find that Nerf bullet that can contain him. Oh, found it. Man, Drew hides important items in plain sight. Ah, how stupid mortals can be. Alright.
Oh man, what happened? A clone helped me? Man, I guess not all of them are duds. Thank you.
Anything for you.
Okay, I don't have that much for you to do right now, but keep some backup plans in mind if any of mine don't work. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Great. Now, I can finally get my revenge.